Hello, everybody. I'm Luis Ortega from Interventional PCR Online, and today I have the absolute pleasure to host Professor Josep Rodés-Cabau for the Heart and Lung Institute from Quebec, Canada, a research professor at Laval University also. Dr. Rodés is extremely well known for his research in the structural heart disease, especially in TAVR, mitral clip, and also appendage occlusions. Professor Rodés is presenting today in TCT 2023 in San Francisco the results from the VIVA study. Professor Rodés, welcome. Thank you for having us. Our pleasure. My first questions or my first approach for you will be if you can walk us through the VIVA study in terms of its background, methods, and the main results of the study.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Luis, and for the PCR, your intervention organization. The VIVA study, the background behind the VIVA study was mainly related to the fact that in current guidelines, there are really no insights about prosthetic valve hemodynamics or gender factors regarding the selection of TAVR versus SAVR in older patients. And in fact, there have been many observational studies and sub-studies from randomized trials suggesting the superiority of TAVR versus SAVR in terms of valve hemodynamics, particularly in patients with small aortic annuli, which is a very particular population constituted mainly of women, meaning that we are talking about older women with a small annuli. And in this particular group of patients, there are no randomized data, really apart, as I said, from observational studies and sub-studies from randomized trials. And this was the rationale behind it. We designed the VIVA trial trying to demonstrate the hemodynamic superiority, I would say, of TAVR versus SAVR in this particular population. And the trial was, again, designed to demonstrate this superiority as evaluated by Doppler echocardiography performed 60 days after the procedure in TAVR patients versus the surgical counterparts.
Very interesting, very clear, narrow population to solve a very clinical specific problem that we faced all the days, I would say, in clinical practice. Very targeted. And you presented today in TCT the results of the study. If you can, give a deep dive or the first, the most important, remarkable findings of this study.
Yeah, the main results of the study, I would say, first of all, in terms of we enrolled in the end 156 patients, which were randomized 1-to-1 to TAVR or SAVR. And maybe one specification, the definition of a small aortic annulus was an annuli of less than 23 millimeters as evaluated by computed tomography. And in the TAVR group, you could use self-expandable valves or balloon expandable valves. And in the SAVR group, you could use any approved surgical valve, and you could use also for sure aortic root enlargement according to the criteria of the surgeon doing the intervention. In terms of the descriptive results, as expected, the vast majority of patients in both groups were women, more than 90%. To the best of my knowledge, is the first time in the heart valve field which such a high proportion of women enrolled in a trial. The mean annuli diameter were 21 millimeters. We are talking really about a small annuli. This is measured by CT. And the vast majority of patients enrolled were low to intermediate surgical risk patients. The mean the mean STS, the median STS score was 2.5%. The results showed that At 30-day follow-up, there were no significant differences between the two groups. We had about 1% mortality in both groups. No major differences in stroke. There were more major bleeding events or new onset atrial fibrillation events in the surgical group, and this is very similar to other TAVR versus SAVR randomized trials. Regarding the primary endpoint, which was impaired valve hemodynamics at 60 days, and we pick up 60 days because otherwise, if you do the echo exam earlier, this could penalize the surgical group. And this is why we waited up to 60 days to perform these exams. And impaired valve hemodynamics was defined either as severe prosthesis patient mismatch or the presence of moderate or severe aortic regurgitation. No patient in none of the groups, in both groups, had moderate or severe aortic regurgitation. And in terms of severe PPM, there were no significant differences between groups. We had a 6% rate in the TAVR group versus 10% in the SAVR group, and these differences were not significant. There were no differences either in residual mean gradients and other echocardiographic parameters. And then a 2-year follow-up, which we have a median follow-up of 2 years for the population. There were no differences in clinical outcomes, including mortality, stroke, and cardiac hospitalization. The Kaplan-Meier curves were very, very similar for the two groups. And these are the main results of the VIVA trial.
Very, very, very interesting. Quite a long journey, no?
Yeah.
You know, we had a very interesting chat before actually recording the interview, and one of the comments that struck a lot to me is you comment that the surgical group, they perform way better than you were expecting. Of course, you know, that's why, you know, peers are important, because they push you to do more and do better. So if you can enlighten us in some way how the surgical groups and the surgical teams around the world has been performing better since the TAVR inception, specifically in this type of intervention.
Yeah. Now, this is exactly meaning that when we planned the trial, we were expecting really a much higher rate of prosthesis patient mismatch. I would say in both groups, but particularly in the surgical groups, because we took data from sub-studies from the initial randomized trials, and in the small annuli population, we were talking about PPM rates of close to 40%. And here we are talking about 10%. And if you apply VARC3 definitions, we apply VARC2, the rates are even lower. We are talking about 7% in the surgical group, 4% in the TAVR group. I think that there is no doubt that the surgeons have improved their results regarding valve hemodynamics, and the reasons are probably multifactorial in this particular trial, but more and more in real life, the surgeons have access to computed tomography data before the intervention. You can plan the intervention probably in a better way compared to the old times. You are still using sizers, etc., but you know, this type of planifying the intervention, not selecting the valve during the intervention. You know what I mean? You have already probably a plan, or at least you can take a look. I'm not saying that all of them look at the CT, but I assume that the vast majority look at the CT. You have a very nice measurements of the annuli, as you know. And I'm sure that not only in the VIVA trial, but in real life, this has a positive influence. And it has been shown also in some studies. We are talking about contemporary SAVR, and contemporary SAVR means newer generation surgical valves that have demonstrated already better valve hemodynamic performance. We are not talking about SAVR performed 10 years ago. It's really SAVR performing nowadays. And the valves that were used in the trial were all newer generation valves. These also include sutureless valves that were used in more than 20% of the patients. Aortic root enlargement, not a lot. It was about 1 out of 10 patients having these maneuvers. I would have expected maybe a bit more, but I think that this reflects also a real-world study in this population. The mean age was 75 years, meaning that it's not true that these maneuvers are performed very frequently in this elderly population. In younger patients, yes, but not in this elderly population. I think that these are probably the different factors driving really these, I would say, quite good results in the surgical group that made in the end that made the final results were not significantly different between groups. I have to say also that the trial was stopped prematurely with a bit more than half of the study population, the expected study population enrolled, and for sure this is also an important factor determining the lack of the significant differences. But even with the initial sample size, which was 300 patients, with the same results, the results would have not been significant either.
Very interesting, and I have to say that, for example, and here in the US, I think CT scans is part of the pre-surgical workup made by all the surgeons. So they are selecting very well their cases also, and I think that's for sure that's a point of inflection in their outcomes, which at the end is good for the patients, and I think that's the main goal of this type of studies, also to push both techniques at their best. Kind of to move into shifting to a more practical question will be, in your experience, Dr. Rodés, if you have one of these patients in your clinic, you have to decide what you will do. If you can phrase more a little bit, which should be your mental thought process, how to deal with this in clinical practice?
I think that these patients, this particular group of patients, as you were saying, having really a complete evaluation, including a computed tomography, it would be even more important than in the general aortic stenosis population, because these patients are at higher risk of annular rupture, coronary obstruction, very, very bad complications, I would say, during TAVR procedures. In my opinion, probably TAVR remains the default strategy in these patients, less invasive, and we saw this also in VIVA, more rapid recovery. But the results of VIVA say to me, don't push too much, meaning that if you have anatomical aspects that are increasing the risk of the TAVR procedure regarding annular rupture, this bunch of calcium extending towards the septum, these very small annuli where you are oversizing a lot. Even if you use a self-expanding valve, you may need to post-dilate. These kind of things, surgery is a good alternative. I would say this is what VIVA is saying. I think in this population, we have probably in recent years, we push a lot versus TAVR. I think is reasonable, is probably the good thing to do, but take into account that into consideration that the surgical results have improved and are very competitive regarding this patient. And I would say this would be the best of the best thing is that going towards a tailored approach where you think about these anatomic characteristics of the patients and selecting one strategy versus the other according to the patient characteristics.
I think it's a very important point. No, it's okay. We can accept that TAVR may be a good option. Maybe we can even say default, but know your limits, no, and respect them. No, I think this is it's a wise word for a senior operator that we all young people should listen. But Dr. Rodés, I'm very having an absolute pleasure to having you to know the results of the VIVA study. The VIVA study is simultaneously publicated in Circulation. So to all the folks that are seeing us for PCR online and error intervention, we will put the link so you can access directly to it. Congratulations for this landmark study, because it's a landmark study in the field. Congratulations for the presentation as a late-breaking clinical trial in TCT 2023, which is always a landmark for all of us, and also for all the data, all the research, all the patients you have treated with valvular heart disease along your fantastic career, Dr. Rodés. So for PCR online, for an intervention, it's always a pleasure having you here. We are looking forward for the full presentation, for the full results of all the sub-studies that are coming for sure. And thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.